The Caribbean islands, with their swaying palm trees and pristine beaches, have long been romanticized as idyllic paradises, drawing visitors from around the world. Yet, beneath this veneer of tropical tranquility lies a complex and often brutal history, one that has shaped the very fabric of these islands. From the moment Christopher Columbus first set foot on these shores, the indigenous inhabitants faced unimaginable brutality and upheaval. This marked the beginning of centuries of colonial rule, where European powers fought ruthlessly for control of these coveted lands, often at great human cost. The indigenous populations, decimated by disease and displacement, were replaced by enslaved Africans, brought across the Atlantic to toil on sugar plantations under harsh and inhumane conditions. This history of exploitation and resilience has shaped the Caribbean we know today, influencing its social, economic, and cultural landscapes. It's a region where the echoes of the past continue to reverberate, shaping the vibrant cultures and identities of its people, and reminding us of the enduring spirit of its inhabitants. The arrival of Christopher Columbus in the Caribbean in 1492 marked a significant turning point in history, one that would have profound and lasting consequences. Columbus, believing he had reached the shores of Asia, claimed the islands for Spain. This act set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the fate of the Caribbean and its people. The indigenous people, known as the Taino, welcomed the Europeans with open arms, offering them food, gifts, and hospitality. However, the Spanish, driven by an insatiable thirst for gold and a sense of superiority, quickly enslaved the Taino people, forcing them into brutal labor. Deadly diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza ripped through their communities, leaving behind a trail of death, despair, and devastation. The Spanish, faced with a rapidly dwindling labor force due to the high mortality rate among the Taino, turned to the transatlantic slave trade. This marked the beginning of one of the darkest and most tragic chapters in human history. The decline of the indigenous populations created a void in the Caribbean's labor force, one that European powers were eager to fill. The solution lay in the abhorrent practice of the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly removed from their homes, shackled and transported across the Atlantic in horrific conditions. The journey, known as the Middle Passage, was a nightmare of unimaginable cruelty. The sugar industry, fueled by European demand, became the backbone of the Caribbean economy, built on the backs of enslaved Africans. The legacy of slavery continues to cast a long shadow, shaping social structures and sparking debate about reparations and reconciliation. The Caribbean, with its strategic location and valuable resources, quickly became a coveted prize for European powers. The Spanish, the first to establish a foothold, were soon challenged by the English, French, and Dutch. Each nation vied for control of these islands, leading to centuries of conflict and shifting alliances. The English seized islands like Barbados, Jamaica, and Antigua, while the French gained control of Martinique, Guadeloupe, and Saint-Domingue. The competition for control of the Caribbean led to frequent wars and skirmishes, with privateers disrupting rival nations' shipping routes. The remnants of this colonial past are still visible today in the region's diverse languages, cultures, and political systems. The Caribbean, during the late 17th and early 18th centuries, became synonymous with piracy, a time when the seas were ruled by fearsome outlaws. The region's many hidden coves, treacherous reefs, and bustling shipping lanes provided the perfect environment for these maritime outlaws to thrive, creating a haven for their nefarious activities. Driven by a combination of opportunity, greed, and a thirst for adventure, pirates terrorized shipping lanes, plundering treasure ships and amassing legendary reputations that would echo through history. Names like Blackbeard, Calico Jack Rackham, and Anne Bonny still evoke images of swashbuckling adventure and ruthless daring, their stories becoming the stuff of legend. The golden age of piracy eventually waned, brought to an end by increased naval patrols and changing economic realities as nations sought to protect their valuable trade routes. However, the allure of the pirate continues to capture the imagination, reminding us of the Caribbean's turbulent past and the enduring legacy of these maritime marauders.